I mean, I was so deathly ill, Doug. I felt like I was going to die. At the time, I had completely lost my memory, like totally. I mean, there were no books on this. There were no websites on this. And I just started recording everything that I was writing on the website and putting it in video form. And it worked. Well, we live in a lot bigger house now, and we drive a nicer car than I've ever driven in my life. It worked.
So if you've ever wondered whether health challenges disqualify you from online success, I want you to think again, because today's guest has transformed his circumstances into a mission, and it reaches millions on YouTube. Welcome to Brimming with Wisdom, where Gen X and Boomer creators are proving that we're not late for YouTube. Actually, we are right on time. I'm Doug Piper, and today I'm sipping on a strong Colombian roast. David, tell me what's in your cup.
Spring water.
So many think fancy gear and perfect confidence are requirements for YouTube success. But the reality is, many times it comes from something much, much deeper, urgency. And I think for David, it wasn't just about creating content, but it was creating almost a survival or clarity and certainly a purpose. So David, your website, nootropicsexpert.com, is a lifeline for people dealing with cognitive issues. Mm-hmm. And considering its success, what made you pursue YouTube too?
My thinking at the time was that I needed it for SEO. I had it turned out to be a fairly successful website to that point. But I was getting lots of traffic to it, but I figured that I could get more traffic if I ended up on the front page of Google more often. And one of the ways I was told that I could do that was to start doing video and point it back to my website. And so sometimes in 2017, I decided, and for the content, I was just going to do when I wrote a supplement review and published it on the website, I just used that as my YouTube script. Quite literally. So I put subheads in there, and I had somebody design an intro for each video, but I just started recording everything that I was writing on the website and putting it in video form and then pointing it back to the website. And it worked. The traffic just kept on growing and growing and growing to the website. And when I ask people even today, when I do a consultation, for example, with somebody, how did you find me? More often than not, it's YouTube.
That's awesome.
It was purely an SEO thing.
And did the SEO work? Or was there another aspect that another facet maybe, that YouTube brought to it?
I think probably put a face to who was behind the website. I never intended to become a celebrity. Or it was just, I think that people appreciate when they can see the face to who's providing all this information that's helping them.
Well, and do you respond to the comments that are on the video?
I try to keep up. There are literally thousands and thousands of questions, and I really have to discipline myself to just spend like an hour a day answering questions on both my website and the YouTube channel. And there are still thousands of unanswered questions in the comments section on YouTube. I simply can't keep up to it.
Wow. But all that activity and that chatter, I mean, you've clearly started a movement, I guess you would say.
Well, you think everybody's got a brain. At some stage, everybody on the planet is going to have a problem with their brain. It turns out I was really, really good at understanding this neuroscience and translating it into plain English. And so I started Nootropics Expert, and it started getting traffic. And people were coming to it because they wanted help with their brain. So sometimes in 2017, I don't remember when it was, I'd been aware of YouTube. And I thought that possibly I could increase traffic to the website if I started a YouTube channel. And that was the reason why I started a channel, Nootropics Expert, and started publishing videos on supplements that help the human brain.
Well, I mean, in YouTube years, I mean, that's like 100 years. If you start on YouTube in 2016, I guess
2017. I started in 2017. So about a year and a half after I started the website.
That's still a long time, David. Well, I've got to ask, though, especially we're talking about really complex medical issues.
Yeah.
You're talking about words that are 15 syllables long,
Hmm.
and you're covering topics that are at the very least complex, if not well beyond that. What made you, was there a trick you used to convey that on screen? Because, I mean, you're using teleprompter, or you just memorize it, or you just naturally can do it? What was the,
I, I have to use a teleprompter because the script is so long. I mean, there's
right.
no way that I could memorize 25 pages to do a video because my videos, the long reel videos, range anywhere from 10 to 17, 18. Some of them are 20 minutes long. So I have to use a teleprompter. And so that was a learning curve for me because I just started out by putting a camera in front of my computer screen and reading the copy off of my screen. That was my teleprompter. And it was a couple of years when I decided that, well, people are doing this on TV and they're using a teleprompter. I got to figure out how to do that too. And I found out that there was teleprompters that you could use for recording videos for YouTube. So I got a teleprompter and I got some professional studio lights and set up a studio the best that I could do just by researching what other people were doing. And it was just a learning experience because I had no experience in this kind of stuff. It was just figuring it out.
But you invested in, I mean, you kept looking for what you thought would be the solution. You got the teleprompter, you got the lights, you could see momentum. Now, this is, I guess, a year or two into your YouTube journey. Mm-hmm. What was it that kept you going when you didn't have the teleprompter? You didn't have those lights where there's some indicators that said, okay, I'm not as professional as I want to be.
Comments. Yeah, comments on my channel every once in a while. Now, I have comments set so that every single comment has to be approved by me. So when I see something that I don't like, I can just delete it. But I was getting comments of, snarky comments from people that just want to criticize people about reading. You're just reading this stuff. Why can't you just talk into the camera like other people? And not realizing that other people are using a teleprompter too, right? And that's when it occurred to me that I had to get more professional at this, and I had to get a teleprompter and learn how to use it properly. And my distance from the camera at a set, so it didn't look like I was reading. That's what prompted it, comments. Criticisms from my audience.
Okay, well, that's all right. It inspired you to go further from what I see. So it sounds like the moment we commit to showing up on camera marks the start of what can be something much bigger than just content. Well, it's a mission to become visible. Well, next, we're going to dive into David's experience when he started his channel, the learning curves, the challenges. He's touched on that a little bit, and the surprises that shaped his content. So starting a YouTube channel isn't always smooth sailing, especially when your subject is as complex as brain chemistry. It's not just about showing up either. It's about translating what you know into something visual, clear, and understandable. So David, I want to know, when you first launched Nootropics Expert YouTube channel, what was it that surprised you the most? And were there some videos that flopped or spiked that surprised you? And what of those early wins or stumbles taught you about creating better content and reaching your audience better?
Oddly enough, the most critical comments that I got in the comment section were, why are you reading and not just talking into the camera like everybody else is doing? And the other one was, why is your face always so red?
Ooh.
And that meant that I had to figure out the lighting better because I'm just naturally tanned. I mean, I live in South Florida and I've got a tan. But why is your face always so red? And it's just, I'm perpetually embarrassed. But I had to figure out lighting and lighting color and camera settings. And I did.
I thought it was interesting. Your reaction was not, oh my gosh, this is terrible. My face is tanned. I live in South Florida. I can't get out. I guess I got to quit. I mean, your reaction was, I have a technical problem, not a personal problem. I mean,
Right.
how do you deal with that? You get enough of that, it kind of feels personal.
I never really took it personally. I mean, it was a problem that I needed to solve. I mean, obviously my lighting was off.
Okay.
And I had to figure that part out. And doing lighting in a studio is they hire people to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I mentioned that to my wife. I said, other people that are doing this, I'm trying to do it all myself, and other people hire people to do this. I can't do that. So I'm reading all about lighting, all about color temperatures and camera settings. It took a lot of tweaking here and there and research and buying different equipment and testing that and trying it. But this kind of stuff I just learned on the fly, man, trying to figure it out.
But you found it worth continuing to invest. You took those comments. You didn't take them personally. You took it more as a technical challenge. Mm-hmm. So the lighting improved. Your delivery is getting better. What are you seeing? Channel growth? What was it? The metric that said, okay, this is working better than it did last year.
Just the numbers kept on increasing. And I never knew which video was going to do well. Every time I published a video, it would automatically get 3,000 or 4,000 views, like right away, because people are interested in this stuff. But once in a blue moon, something will spike. I remember the first one that did that was I did a video on black seed oil, and I had no idea. But black seed oil, I don't even remember what the traffic was to it, but something like over 100,000 views. It was a lot. And then I would do another video on some other supplement and it'd go back to normal. And every once in a while, something else will do. Like I did one not too long ago on niacin. That was a popular video. And I'm going, niacin? There's no way to predict this. Another one I did one in October on iodine, and iodine got so far 116,635 views.
Which caught you completely off guard.
Totally off guard. Like iodine? Right. Really?
What I think is so interesting, so I ask you flops or spikes. You've only mentioned spikes. What have you learned by seeing those spikes? Because let's go back to that first one, or the niacin. I think I can pronounce that one.
Nice.
So what are you going to do with that? You're going to go say, wow, the niacin surprised me. What's next?
No, I didn't do that because I was on a mission to publish as much as I could on individual supplements. And I was just going through them A to Z. And I was doing articles in between then, like best nootropics for learning and memory, best nootropics for ADHD. One of the ones that I knew that was going to be popular, and if I did it every year, was best nootropics for 2025. So there was a best nootropics for 2024, best nootropics for 2023. I knew that those were always going to do well. And I try to publish those, in December.
Have they done as well as the niacin?
No, the niacin, the best nootropics for 2025 did it's got 16,327 views. So the niacin one did far better than that. I just know that when I do the annual one, it's going to do better than usual.
Right.
But there's no way that I can predict why something will take off, like niacin or black seed oil or iodine. It just comes out of the blue. Now, I've gotten a little bit more sophisticated in my research since then. I noticed that people were talking about creatine. And so I did a new video on creatine, and that my creatine video got more traffic than I usually do on that channel, simply because I was following the trend of people talking about creatine. Mm-hmm. And so I do pay attention to that part more and more. I didn't early on, but now I'm paying more attention to find out what people are talking about and see whether I need to update anything that I've done on that.
It sounds like your creation process is fairly methodical. You've got essentially a set of topics you're going to cover. Mm-hmm. You're thrilled when some exceed your expectations. You don't get disappointed when they're not. And then you're going to cover it, and I guess maybe even cycle back the next year and do 2025 and go back through them again. Is that
Yeah.
somewhat your thought process?
Yeah. It's a process that I've developed.
And how often do you publish?
My goal is to do one new video a week. Now, lately, I haven't been doing that very well. I try to do one long reel video a week, and then 2 or 3 shorts per week.
Do you think that's important to produce consistently?
Consistently, yes, because I think that people just come to expect. I mean, they don't mark it in their calendar or anything, but they know that Nootropics Expert is going to produce something new in every week. And so they subscribe to the channel. That's one of the reasons I think why they subscribe to the channel, because they know that there's going to be new content. They don't know when that is, but I try to do it every week. I try to do 2 or 3 shorts. And I was dragged kicking and screaming into the shorts thing because I mean, YouTube pressed me into doing that, really, because I had no intention of doing short.
And do you like shorts?
It's not that I like or dislike shorts. I mean, people like watching them. So I'll just take a long reel video. Now, my videos are when they're on individual supplements, they're pretty much the same format.
Yeah.
So what is it? How does it work? How much do you take? And what best brand to buy? So those are 4 shorts. So I'll just take my long reel video and I'll find that spot in a video and I'll make that into a short.
And this is a vertical short?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got a template that you're using for a large number of your videos, so that makes your creative process easier. Does that?
Yeah, it does. Now, I did notice recently, and this has probably been true all along, but I just noticed recently that on individual videos, YouTube's will tell you what part of the video got the most views and where it dropped off. And that seems to change from video to video. So I started paying a little bit more attention to that. Sometimes YouTube is just wrong. But I noticed that dosage, for example, on a lot of these supplements is important to people. And YouTube will notice that. So I do a short on how much iodine do you take? How much niacin do you take? What kind of niacin do you take? And that goes for all individual supplements.
Wow.
How much do you use?
in today's AI and how much video content can be created, I suspect you've built up a lot of trust when a real live person talks about their experience and recommendations. And it's just refreshing to hear that even a deeply researched creator like you has flops and surprises, but you just keep going. And it really sounds like that's where the learning and refining truly begins.
Yeah, that's true.
So growing a YouTube channel isn't just about posting more. It's really about making smarter decisions. And for David, I think that means he's treating his channel not just as content, but as a lever for real impact. So now, David, what were the 1 or 2 most important changes that really helped you grow your audience? And I want to know if it was titles, editing, workflow, consistency, or maybe some combination of all those, or maybe even none of them.
I think consistency is probably the most important thing, both from the audience's perspective as well as YouTube's perspective, because YouTube, the algorithm, knows that my channel is going to come up with fresh content on a regular basis. So they're going to recommend it more often. And so if for some reason I can't publish a long reel video that week, I'll try to at least get 2 or 3 shorts up just to keep people coming back to the channel. I've learned more recently about titles and thumbnails. And because if you look early on, my thumbnails all look the same. I just had a template that I used, and when I was talking about a different supplement, I just changed the name of the supplement. And I did that for the first 2 or 3 years. And then somebody, and I don't know who it was, pounded into my head that, yes, consistency in thumbnails and branding is important in thumbnails, but to stand out from everybody else, you got to start using brighter colors and different designs and stuff like that. And so I started hiring people on Upwork and Fiverr to create thumbnails for me, because that's one thing that I'm really bad at is graphics. I've just never really learned how to do that properly. This was a couple years ago now. I started hiring somebody on Upwork to create thumbnails for me. And I had another person create shorts for me because I was posting to TikTok at that time too. It was just, had to start hiring people on a part-time basis to help me do all this stuff because one, I didn't have the time to do it myself. And two, I don't have the skills to do some of this stuff. Like the graphics is just not one of my, so on my thumbnails, you'll notice that my branding is an image of this face and the Nootropics Expert logo. That's the same for every thumbnail, but the rest of the thumbnail is who knows what the graphic artist is going to come up with. We take a look to see what the competition is doing and my competition for that particular subject, what videos are getting the most views. Clearly, it has something to do with their thumbnail and or title. And so we check out their thumbnail and see what they're doing. Are they doing like an A-B kind of thing, this versus that? Or is there some other emotion involved or whatever? So there's not really any hard and fast rule on how to do this. It's just doing research and finding out what other thumbnails are doing really well on other channels. And taking that idea and working with it.
So besides it saving you time and, you replaced it with, you gave up your money, they gave you back time.
Yeah.
But do you feel like the quality of either those shorts or the thumbnails or both showed improvement in YouTube?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the longer you do this, the better at it you get. I mean, it's a natural thing to happen. My delivery gets smoother. I start messing with the scripts more so that there's more of a hook at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so that changes from video to video. One of the biggest changes lately that I've started doing in the last few months is doing shorter videos. Because I notice consistently that viewership drops off around 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes. And so I figured that, all right, I've got to take my subject and whatever I'm doing and compress it down into 7 minutes.
So let's talk through that though, David. Why is that important? Oh, okay, so you had 15 minutes worth of video. Some people might watch the whole 15 minutes. You're saying the majority did not. Mm-mm. Why is it goodness to compress it down to 7 minutes? What was your thinking there?
People I can keep their attention for 7 minutes and I can't do it after that. And I tried everything that I could. When I go from segment to segment, I would introduce the next segment before the slide came in for the subtitle. Yeah. This is what's going to happen next. Stick it, don't go away, stay tuned. And that wasn't helping. And finally, I just said, all right, already, if you're going to watch it for 7 minutes, I'll make a 7-minute video.
Well, no, my question is why, though? Do you think it's important people get to the end of your video? Is that an important goal for you that you've learned is helpful for your channel?
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be important to the YouTube algorithm.
Okay.
The longer they watch a video, the more often they're going to recommend it.
So your experience would tell you this video, our interview will probably, once I edit it down, might be 35 or 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if I'm seeing drop off, let's go back to your example at 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. You might say, Doug, I think they're too long. Maybe you need to do those mini segments you talked about. But I think your channel would do better if you could figure out how to make your content the length of what the majority of people are watching.
I think this varies from channel to channel because there are people that I subscribe to on YouTube. I don't watch TV in the evening. I watch people that I subscribe to on TV. I got a great big TV in my den, and I just watched. And these guys do 2 and 3 hour videos, and I watch the entire thing because that subject really, really interests me.
Yeah.
So it depends on the subject. It depends on the subject and what that channel is doing. My channel is just 7 minutes as a drop off consistently. If I was doing a different format, if I was doing podcasts, for example, and interviewing people, I imagine people would stick around for the entire thing. But
Makes
for
perfect sense.
The type of thing that I'm doing, I've got to be cognizant of. I can only keep their attention for so long.
So you're learning from your metrics, and then you're adjusting back for future content to kind of fit what people obviously prefer.
Exactly. So, for example, I'm doing, I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm about to do a video on coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10. And in the past, I would have done probably a 10 or 15 minute video on CoQ10. This one is, I timed it, and I think it's 7 minutes long. And so I just compressed the information that instead, what I'm talking about, my intro is shorter. It's more of a hook. When I explain what the supplement does, that's more compressed. When I talk about the clinical studies, I don't go into detail. I just say this study said this happened. This study said this happened. This study did this happen. For dosage, it's just bang, bang, bang. This is how much you take. For side effects, this is what will happen. Watch out for it. And then this is the best brand to buy. Those types of things that I dragged out, they were longer in my, when I was just basing it on the script on my website, right? And video is a totally different animal. I can only keep their attention for so long on YouTube. In shorts is a completely different thing. I mean, and actually I've seen, because I study the human brain a lot, there's been a couple of recent studies that showed the Western human attention span has gone from something like 10 seconds to 7 seconds.
Sadly.
Just because of technology, and people are staring at their phones all the time, and they're watching TikTok or whatever Facebook is doing these days, or the shorts on YouTube.
As I go back to the original question, am I understanding you correctly? If you had to identify one or two of the most important changes that help you grow your audience, would you say it's consistency and adjusting your content going forward based on channel statistics and metrics?
Yes, both of those.
Well, it sounds like strategy matters.
It does.
And those intentional shifts are often what move a channel from just posting to leading. And if this sparks something in you, do me a favor. How about drop a like, subscribe? And I'd love to know what strategies or approaches that you found most effective on your YouTube channel. In the next segment, we're going to go deeper into the powerful relationship between content and community. And I want to hear how David's viewers have literally shaped his channel. So sometimes our biggest breakthroughs don't come from data, but they actually come from people. The reoccurring comments, the unexpected questions, or even maybe an aha moment sparked by a viewer. So, David, I want to know how your YouTube community specifically has actually shaped and helped you morph your research and understanding of what people are truly struggling with in this very complex area. And have these opened new topics or opportunities for you to dive into and help them?
And when it comes to neuroscience and the human brain and using supplements, the thing that seems to come up in the comments section over and over and over again is, can I use this with this? Is this going to be a problem? And that is really, really difficult for me to deal with. There's no real easy way to deal with that. You're talking about, I've reviewed, I think, 120 or 125 individual supplements that somehow affect the human brain. One of the biggest issues that I've run into, I've noticed, and this has never gone away, is people don't know the difference between drugs and supplements. And they know that they've heard that you've got to be careful about 2 drugs being contraindicated. And they just assume 2 supplements can be contraindicated. And that's just not true. That's purely an educational thing. And I haven't succeeded because it just keeps on happening. And I actually did a video, I think, on side effects, as I recall, nootropics and side effects that included contraindications and what can you take with what you need to watch out for when it comes to drugs and supplements, and what you have to watch out for if you do with supplements and supplements. But this is an ongoing thing, and it's an ongoing challenge, and I haven't completely conquered it.
So David, is it kind of an unanswerable question?
It really is.
All right.
Because there's so many different permutations and combinations.
But we probably all as creators face that. So how are you, if you're taking an unanswerable question and you're trying to find the answer, or at least do something with it, because it is an opportunity. An unanswerable question is a huge opportunity. How do you think through that to turn it into an opportunity, even though I know you've said you hadn't been totally successful? Surely you've gotten some encouragement.
I've discovered that it's a no-win situation, and the only thing I can do is answer their questions in the comment section. And because
you don't go there.
Well, I can't create it. If I create a video on it, the video is going to disappear in 6 months. You know, people will ask me about a supplement and what about this? And I reviewed that supplement at length 6 months ago. And so I have to send them a link to that particular video or an article on my website because of people's attention span, or they don't spend the time to do the research like I'm accustomed to doing the research. And
it almost sounds like you know when to fold and not waste your time.
And I can't get frustrated with people. You know, there's a tendency to go, what? Just come on. Use some common sense here, but you can't do that. You know, you've got to treat every single person as an individual, and I have no idea what they're struggling with. I don't know what their life situation is. I don't know what their health situation is. I'll just, as nicely as I can, answer their question.
So
whether
you're
it's
taking
it's a yes or no answer, or you'll find more information on this video. Here's the link to it.
So you've got an unanswerable question. You know that's not a place you want to go, but you're forcing yourself. Well, you need to be respectful to your audience.
I do.
And what is your technique exactly? It's an unanswerable question. All you can do is kind of assist and divert. How do you do that?
Well, it depends. If a person, like I got a question today about, somebody asked me about Suboxone and Phenibut. So somebody could kill themselves with that combination. So I will just, for that particular person, I just responded and said, I do not recommend using Phenibut if you're going to be on Suboxone, because you don't know what's going to happen. It's too dangerous. It could be a deadly combination. We just don't know. So it's not worth it.
So what I hear is frankness. You just got to be somewhat brutally honest.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, people's lives are at stake here.
That's the beauty of YouTube. It's not a lecture hall. It's really a conversation. And sometimes the audience becomes your guide, and maybe other times they kind of teach you something in a place you don't want to go. Well, in the next segment, we're going to zoom out, and I want to reflect on the personal transformation that happens when you suddenly grow a global audience. Well, it's one thing to change your life. It's another to know your story is changing someone else's. And when YouTube becomes a global platform, it might change you too. So, David, when you look back at your YouTube journey, I want to know what's the most meaningful thing to you, and what's different in you now, and how you think, how you live, how maybe even you define success.
Well, we live in a lot bigger house now, and we drive a nicer car than I've ever driven in my life. So there's that. One of the things that has happened is this has really humbled me. Just by chance have become a leader in a space, and people respect your opinion. that there's no ego involved in this, because that would destroy what I've built. And it's just a very, very humbling experience. I mean, I meditate every morning it was an hour, now it's a half an hour, but I meditate every morning for a half an hour and get ready for my day. It's just going this with an open heart and trying to help people, And that's probably the biggest pat on the back and the biggest thank you that somebody could give me is I made a suggestion or something that influenced somebody's life, and they come back 6 months later and say that it changed their life or it saved their life. And that is just, you just kind of like swallow and go, okay. It's very humbling.
But that's an interesting reaction, David, to success. I mean, you mentioned a better house, a better car. You're trusted and you're an authority, but yet when at that moment you hear you've changed lives, it's almost like all those things don't matter. Why is that?
I don't know. It's just I like helping people. And if somebody says that I saved their life or helped them change their life or something like that, it's just, you go, wow. I mean, that's all the motivation that I need to keep on going.
Does that echo in your mind in the next YouTube video that you sit down to create?
No, it doesn't. I just keep on doing what I'm doing.
So you've got that cadence and you've got a template.
Yeah.
And you adjust it a little bit based on the metrics that you read and I guess the comments you get back, but sounds like very methodical in your approach going forward.
That I have to be. And if you look into the research on people that are ADD, that's one of their strengths. It's just I've got a method and it works, and just keep on doing that.
Well, and it does work. As we talked prior to the interview, I told you I looked into your channel and the trajectory that it's on is like none I've ever looked at. I mean, you have a straight line up. I mean, there's no glitches, there's no dips. I mean, what you're doing is working, and it is quite inspiring. And then to hear on top of that, there are some benefits that you enjoyed, but at the same time, there's some things that hit your heart and make it very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, in the end, I guess creating on YouTube isn't just a way to share what you know, but it's a path that reshapes who you are. Coming up in our final segment, we're going to look towards the future. What's next for Nootropics Expert on YouTube? And what David sees is on the horizon for creators and cognitive health. So David started with a website, and he's authored books and a huge YouTube channel. But YouTube keeps evolving, and he's had to also. So David, I want to know, you've got this cadence you've figured out. You've got this approach. It's definitely working. I've looked at your channel stats. But I want to know where it's heading next. Are you going to change your formats? Are there new tools you want to explore? Are there new ways to actually reach people that you're excited about trying? And ultimately, what's the legacy you hope this channel will leave?
The biggest thing that's happening right now, and this just transpired over the last couple of weeks, is one of the biggest challenges that I've had is the comment section. There's literally thousands and thousands of comments. And so I've always wanted like a forum kind of thing because there's comments threads under each video, right? And there's no way to get those people together so that they're talking to each other. And so I always thought that some kind of a forum would work. And YouTube has been hounding me to start a membership. And so I decided to do that. And I launched a membership a couple of weeks ago. And then I hired a consultant who happens to be the person who set up YouTube memberships for YouTube.
Whoa.
And he's quit working for YouTube last month, and now he's working with me. And we're relaunching the membership on the channel, and he's helping me set it up. I'm hoping that a lot of the conversation that's happening in the comment section is going to end up in the membership area where it's going to be easier to manage. So we're going to have a couple of tiers. They're going to be really affordable, like $5 and $10. I'm going to be more involved in one-on-one with people in the comment section because they'll get priority if they're a member. A couple of live streams per month, which I've never done before.
Public
and
or member only?
Member only live streams. We're going to start out with 30-minute live streams. We might move to 1 hour. We'll see how it goes, but it'll start out being a Q&A. People will be able to ask their questions and lead up to what they want answered during the live stream, and I'll address all of those questions during the live stream. I'm morph into something else, but I have no idea where this is going to go. But we've got the guy that I'm working with has absolute confidence that this membership is going to grow very quickly.
But hiring this expert to come help you specifically with YouTube membership is interesting. I'm involved in several memberships, both my own and others I'm participating in to learn from. And it seems like everybody has a different platform almost. And yours might be the first one I've explored that used YouTube. What was the logic, without getting too deep, but you could have chosen any of those other platforms too. What made you choose YouTube?
Because I tried a couple of other ones. I tried another platform and I didn't like the direction that they were going in. They were too video centric and I just wanted a pure forum. So I dropped them, and then I tried starting it on my website and we couldn't get the software to work. And finally I just dropped that and said, screw it. YouTube seems to be the simplest solution. And so it's YouTube.
What have you seen so far from your initiative? Is it working the way you hoped it would?
We don't know. It's too early.
Okay.
It's literally just getting started. When I started it a couple of weeks ago, when we took that down, but I had gotten 8 new members, I think, the last time I'd checked. I just literally put it live again this morning. I haven't checked. I have no idea, but I've not publicized it. We haven't advertised it or anything. So it's the first tier went live this morning. I don't know what happened to it.
But it sounds like you've tried other platforms and you've just learned to preserve your own time and sanity. You're hoping YouTube will be more time effective for you.
That's exactly right.
Well, and I got to ask one other question because I love lives also. I'm not doing as many as I used to. How are you going to decide your topics for your lives?
Good question. I'm going to start out with just a Q&A. So I'll give members the opportunity to ask their questions leading up to the live stream. Anybody that has something that's bugging them or they want an answer to it and it hasn't been answered in the comment section, they can and I'll try to get to it and answer it live during the live stream.
David, that's just great insight. So it sounds like going forward, you're optimistic about YouTube in general. You're investing into the membership area of YouTube, and you feel like that's the best choice of all the other platforms you have some experience with. And then you see lives as another important facet that you're adding of YouTube to grow your YouTube presence. And have I capsulized that?
Pretty much.
It seems like, though, you're a man that likes a cadence. You're comfortable with YouTube, so you're adding on to facets of YouTube. You're comfortable with your template of your videos. You're adding to it but adjusting. Is that an important thing you think going forward, and what you'd recommend for other YouTubers to develop that kind of cadence?
It depends on what you're comfortable with. I mean, I have people pushing me to be on TikTok again. They're pushing me to on Instagram. I just created an Instagram channel after all these years. I do have a Facebook page that I post to regularly, but I don't spend any time on. I'm just really, really bad at that. And that's on me. When I started on TikTok last year, I got a ton of followers and I had no idea. I had somebody else doing it for me.
Yeah.
And apparently I just went a little berserk. When this thing works and I've got more revenue coming in, I'll be able to hire somebody that'll be able to manage that whole part for me.
You're not too worried about the other social media platforms until you see additional progress in YouTube. Is that
correct? Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you, this has been awesome to learn from your experience and the challenges you've gone through. I mean, David, I think you just kind of laid a blueprint out for the rest of us to build real impact and income on YouTube, even if we're starting late in life. So, David, I know we've mentioned nootropicsexpert.com being your website. Where else can people, I mean, should they go to your TikTok? Can you give me kind of a breakdown of how's the best the best places people can find you, learn more about Nootropics Expert, etc.?
The best place is either the website, nootropicsexpert.com, or my YouTube channel. My book, Head First, the second edition, is available at all the major bookstores. It's a big book.
Whoa.
It's 962 pages, and it's how to fix your brain. It's a manual on your brain. So that has turned out to be pretty popular too. You can get that on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or I think it's Staples in Canada. I forget what it is in England. Anyway, all major bookstores around the world have got it. And I do personal consultations too. If somebody wants to do a 1 hour one-on-one with me, that seems to be popular. You'll find links to that both on YouTube and on my website if you want to schedule an hour with me. And I'm on all the other major platforms too. You'll find me on LinkedIn. I'll probably start up on TikTok again. I'm trying to figure out how to do Instagram. I'm certainly on Facebook, but YouTube and the website are the easiest.
It's been a real privilege to spend an hour with you today. I've certainly learned a lot. And for those that are watching, if something clicked with you today, share with me in the comments. I mean, I'd love to hear what aspects of David's approach that you liked, or maybe David will even weigh in on the nootropics questions. I can't really help with those. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe, because we've got some really great deep dive interviews coming up with amazing guests like David. I mean, their videos will be right here. So please remember, you're not too late to YouTube. You're right on time. So David, cheers. This has been a lot of fun.
Salud.
Salute.